Time for another great candidate conversation, and I'm happy right now to introduce you to the candidate running for the 35th Legislative District State Senate position. It's Drew MacEwen. Drew, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
For sure. This is an open seat position here in the 35th after longtime State Senator Tim Sheldon retired at the end of last legislative session. Currently, Representative MacEwen is one of the two House of Representatives members, but is running for the State Senate in this position. This is a different way that you're going to be able to help the folks in the 35th. Tell me a little bit about the time you've spent in the House of Representatives and what you can take from that if the voters elect you into the Senate this year.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate it again, Jeff, for having me on. In the 10 years I've been in the House, I've really had the opportunity just to grow in leadership roles within the House of Representatives and serve on a number of committees and get a broad-based working knowledge of just about every area of our state government. I've been one of the senior members of the House Appropriations Committee since being on that in 2015, and today I'm the number 2 House Republican on the Appropriations Committee, which is our budget writing committee, arguably the most powerful committee that we have in state government, as we oversee roughly a $65 billion budget. That gives me a keen insight into the workings of our government and frankly, what works, what doesn't work. I've also been a strong advocate over these last 10 years for our district, and through the capital budget, I've delivered close to $500 million to our local communities, mostly in infrastructure grants, and helping get our communities into a position that to take advantage of economic development and move the ball forward. So, as we look at going to the Senate, it's taking that knowledge base, that leadership, and utilizing it in the Senate, and having with it being a smaller body, having a greater amount of influence over the direction of our state budget, as well as things that we can do for our communities within the 35th district.
The state Senate position in each of the districts in the state of Washington is only a sole member there. So how does that change or impact the ways that either you work to find consensus or to even just use your one vote in the Senate to help push forward priorities that you feel important?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, on paper, the Senate and the House are co-equal branches within the legislature. One does not inherently have more power or authority than the other within the legislative process. But because the Senate is a smaller body, a single member has a greater influence over the process itself within the deliberations of that chamber. So, and that's a key element there that's important. And the Senate also has confirmation authority on gubernatorial appointments, whereas the House does not. And our system at the state level is a little different than the federal level. At the state level, the Senate does not have to take up a confirmation. The governor appoints somebody, and they're automatically in there unless the Senate chooses to take it up and vote them down. And that occasionally has happened, but outside of that, the House and the Senate are equal. And I look forward again just to taking that base of knowledge and the leadership and utilizing that within the Senate. I've developed great working relationships with members from both sides of the aisle and in both chambers, and that's going to serve me well in the Senate and developing and moving forward with legislation and budget priorities.
As you have been you mentioned that you've been in the House for about 10 years now, and every year your seniority grows. As you mentioned, you're number 2 on the House Appropriations in the caucus, and that is a highly sought-after position. Why decide to kind of, start over, if you will, on the Senate side?
Yeah, no, great question. The opportunity with Senator Sheldon retiring, it's there, and I think it's important to also take have fresh faces and to take a new look at things. I mean, I've got the experience that I'm going to take with me to the Senate, certainly, but it is a new body, and there are people in there that I haven't had the opportunity to work with, and it's going to be in having a different sphere of influence. is going to be good to be able to again take a fresher view and look at things, but also exert the 10 years of knowledge and leadership that I've had in the House and bring that into the Senate and bring that to that body to also give that body a fresh perspective, maybe at looking at things. And it certainly opens up, of course, my House seat for a new set of eyes. I think change is good. I don't plan to have to do as long of a tenured career as Senator Sheldon did. But I do believe that change is important, and the time is right now to make that change and to put a fresh set of eyes in both chambers.
What are some of the things that you can point back to as your time in the House, and even in your time before that in the Navy and the private sector, that would lead you to be a good Senate candidate and ultimately state senator?
Yeah, well, my time in the Navy developed a leadership skill that is unique with the military, and and that's getting the job done, and frankly, not making excuses for things. The legislative body and process is certainly different than the military. You can't just make it so. You've got to work in a team structure, but I also draw on that from my time in the Navy. But again, I'd go back to the bipartisan support that I've developed through the years, and the bipartisan relationships that I've also nurtured in the 10 years I've been in the House, and look forward to bringing those to the Senate. And those are critical. You have to. I'm a big believer that you find where you have common ground with people, and whether they're of a different party or the same party or somewhere in between. Let's find the things that we have in common, and let's work on those solutions. And I've done that while I've been in the House. We reformed the state VA system that needed some serious reforms. We did reforms on with labor and industries that had to do with contractor work. Some victims' rights bills. All of these things were bipartisan in nature, and but yet took a lot of development to get them done and signed into law. And I'm proud of those things. While at the same time, I look back at when we had a more balanced government, which I firmly believe we need to get back to. We had sustainable budgets with good surpluses. We lowered college tuition. We had a number of successes. We solved the McCleary situation. We're facing new issues with education due to COVID. But bring those experiences and that leadership to the Senate to help solve the issues that are before us today.
Are there differences between outside of the gubernatorial confirmations there, are there things that the Senate side does or looks at that the House side doesn't normally look at, or how is there a difference there?
There's more procedural differences in how things get done. So, an easy one to point to is the House. We do electronic voting, whereas in the Senate, it's a voice vote. Just by nature, that slows things down, and it makes the Senate become a little bit more of a deliberative body because it takes longer to get legislation through on the Senate side, even though you have fewer people. But the process is inherently slower than it is in the House, and so that creates a situation where I think there's a little more deliberation in what is most important to move through. The Senate can act quickly when it needs to, but again, because the process is a little slower, that's something that makes it uniquely different from the House. But, in terms of legislative authorities and everything, no, the Senate and the House are fairly aligned and similar in those ways. It's just the process in which they do it is slightly different.
Plenty of opportunity here upcoming to talk more policy issues, but now it's just an opportunity for you to meet the candidate running for the 35th Legislative District's state Senate position, now an open seat in this upcoming election. And the person on the phone line right now who's running for that current House of Representatives Legislative District 35th, Drew MacEwen, is putting his hat in the ring for the state Senate position. Drew, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.